Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again, playing Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. And this is going to be my next character guide for Idrial. Let's talk a little bit about the most overpowered healer in probably any RPG I've ever played. She really is absolutely insane. Let's go over her swordcraft first. So I actually don't do that much with her swordcraft mid to late game. I actually do favor her swordcraft at least somewhat at the beginning of the game, but it's again the mid to late game where I just don't really use it anymore. Anyways, so she starts out with fluid strike, and then you've got a choice between weakening slash or wounding strike. I think really either of these can be okay, but at the beginning of the game, weakening slash can be pretty good. Random encounters, enemies will last somewhat or a bit longer maybe. And so lowering the strength of an enemy can be kind of nice. Wounding strike, though, is also pretty interesting, but more useful, I would say, on things that are going to live a while, like the Balrog, for instance, or any of the bosses in the game. So it says a melee attack that continues to damage an enemy for a short time. Also, I should say that the trolls early on in the game are pretty good to be using this on as well. I guess trolls in general, right? Because they just have a lot of health. And also the damage over time component to this is related to your spirit power. So, she's naturally going to be doing a decent amount of damage with this because she already has good spirit powers. But if you're playing the way I do, certainly you're going to be boosting her spirit power even more. So, fairly good strike actually that stays actually kind of relevant the entire game, and especially on bosses. Elven Rage here, it says a melee attack that allows Idrial to strike twice. That's okay, but her sword skills are not really where she shines, but that's all right. Stunning Strike, though, this is amazing. I really like Stunning Strike. I use this a lot at in the early parts of the game. And so honestly, what I would do is I would learn Fluid Strike first, and then learn a Weakening Slash, and then go into Stunning Strike after. Again, just because I don't like the description here on Stunning Strike, and maybe that's just I'm nitpicking, but it says a melee attack that delays an enemy's next attack. It actually completely stops the enemy's next attack until stun wears off. So I don't really like that description. I always felt that delaying an enemy's next attack, that's actually more what the crippling abilities in this game do. But it's sort of still true, but I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just nitpicking. Also, I should say that an enemy that is stunned can't dodge. So it actually just makes learning, especially like sword abilities, off of them even easier, right? So let's just say that your Barathor is not very accurate because you haven't been building much dexterity like I do. What you can actually do is use a stunning strike on him or on an enemy, and then Barathor can immediately use a sword strike afterwards, and he is going to connect. Again, as long as that enemy is stunned, he will connect. So it can be a kind of a cheeky way of getting around having characters with lower dexterity. Next up here is Leech Inspiration. This is okay, but I don't really think that it's that. Honestly, it's just not that great. Some of the issues that I have actually with Leech Inspiration is that you can't sleep an enemy that has Leech, or let's just say you've got something slept, right? If you use Leech Inspiration, it won't actually deal damage to them. But when the AP drain effect happens, it will wake that enemy up. So that's the one thing that I really don't like about Leech Inspiration. It's fine for boss battles, right, or anything that's like immune to a lot of those, especially like sleep. The other thing is, for me anyway, Idrial always had so much, like a really good AP pool that I didn't actually really find Leech Inspiration to be that necessary. And I'll go into more of that a little bit later, actually, when we talk about, I think it's called Drain Inspiration. That's one of her spirit powers. But anyways, next up is Destined Strike. It says a melee attack that always hits but does less damage. This is actually really pretty decent for her if you go like straight down the right side, which I would recommend doing. So learn Fluid Strike. Well, actually, I should say learn Fluid Strike, then learn Weakening, then actually learn Stunning Strike, and then learn Destined Strike afterwards. The reason why I say that is because If you're not building dexterity with her, she's going to be very inaccurate. It's actually going to be difficult to land attacks on her. And so one of the ways around that is using Destined Strike, right? Like if you want to learn Gil-galad Rampage, right? Well, just spam Destined Strike until you learn it, right? Yeah, you'll do a little bit less damage, but you're always going to hit, right? So you're not going to be missing. And then Gil-galad Rampage, it says a melee attack that allows Idrial to strike 3 times. That's okay, right? But she's just not a physically oriented character, so I don't really... I don't, use this often. I think the only times that she ever really uses this is on a Warcry. I think at a certain point, she transitions from Loudwater Fury whenever Barathor uses like either War Call or Warcry. She transitions from Loudwater Fury to Gil-galad Rampage, which actually kind of sucks because, Loudwater Fury, in my opinion, is better. I would rather have her nuking with her spirit attacks than trying to use a physical attack that she's probably not going to either even hit, or she's probably going to end up doing less damage. So a little bit of a shame, and then there's even maybe a little bit of an argument to be made to not even learn this at all, so that she's not doing that. But anyways, let's go over... Oops, I backed all the way out. Let's go over her spirit powers, which is where she really shines. So she starts out with Gift of Elrond, which says restores some health to one party member. This is an incredibly good heal. It starts out good, and if you continue to build spirit powers on her, it's going to just get, it's going to keep getting better and better, to the point where you don't even really need to use her better heals, because this will restore so much health anyway. Next up is Loudwater Fury. This is her basic nuke. This is the power of the water spirits that attacks a single enemy. Very, very strong, especially early on in the game. If you're playing on hard mode, you might not one-shot everything early in the game, but it doesn't take too long, and a little bit of spirit power points will get her to one-shotting things. And certainly once you've got these cracked Elf Stone of Spirit Enhancement, it makes it even more likely that you're going to be one-shotting things. So, and that's even on hard mode. So great ability. Haste of the Elves, really, really good. Increases one party member's rate of attack for the remainder of the battle. Idrial has a passive related to Haste of the Elves, which makes her the best character to be using Haste. Very, very great ability. And of course, you're learning this really, really early as well. So that's great. Next up, I would definitely recommend learning Drain Inspiration. And so this is why I think that her leeching attack isn't that great, because she can just use Drain Inspiration anyway. The leeching attack can always miss, right? And Drain Inspiration does not. You will always land because, again, this is a spirit power, and spirit powers cannot miss. So really, really recommend getting this immediately after learning Haste of the Elves. Gift of Galadriel, you can probably skip this because, or at least learn it later on, because again, she is able to restore so much health with Gift of Elrond anyway that I don't find the Gift of Galadriel to even really be worth it. Next up is Cleanse Shadow. Removes all negative effects from a party member. This is great. Great way to remove poisons, or if a character gets silenced, you can remove that using Cleanse Shadow. Aura of the Valor is nuts. Protects one ally, automatically reviving them if they are struck down. Basically, this ability, along with her Frenzy ability, makes the game basically you can't lose, because it's kind of weird the way that the game handles when a character gets resurrected. They get a turn immediately. So basically what you do is you cast Frenzy, because that allows you to use 2 spirit powers. Then you cast Aura of the Valor on Idrial, and then you can just like nuke, using Loudwater Fury or something, right? And then anytime Idrial dies, or gets knocked out, I should say, she will revive with full health and full AP. And at that point, you can just do this, and then she gets her turn immediately. So she, you can use Frenzy once again, and then use Aura of the Valor on her, and again, just rinse and repeat, right? Basically, the game is basically unlosable with that combo. Next up is Power of the Valor. Revives a fallen party member. That's great. It restores them with full health and full AP. So very, very good ability. Valinor Endurance. It says full immunity for a short time, but the caster cannot take any action until the spell ends. I'll be honest, I don't really know the use case for this. Maybe if it's like her turn is going to be right before the Balrogs or something, then you could use this and be immune to the damage, but why bother doing that when you can just use Aura of the Valor on her, and then, like, you know, if you die, you just resurrect right away and you get your turn immediately. So I don't think Valinor Endurance is good at all, and I would definitely recommend not learning that until basically last. I just don't think it's good. Valorous Haste is really good. If you watch my Barathor character guide, you can see, or you'll see why that's so good. I actually will show that again in this video as well, but it says lets one party member automatically act next in the next battle queue. So that's good on things like Barathor if you like do a double attack and then you want to do like a double war cry, or like an Elagast, right? So like let's just say you're looking at 4 enemies on the battlefield. Idrial is going first, but then it's like all 4 enemies going immediately after. You can do Valorous Haste on Elagast, as long as Elagast is in the battle party. Move his turn up, and then he can use Arrows of Sleep, right, to sleep everything. So very, very good ability. Cleansing Water removes all negative effects from the entire group. So it's basically just an upgraded version of Cleanse Shadow. But yeah, it's very, very good. Like if, you know, multiple characters are silenced or a bunch of people get poisoned or something, you can just wipe out all those. Gift of Grey Haven. This is pretty good. Restores a great amount of health to all party members. Honestly, I think that Elagast Aodin is better with his scatter health, but Gift of Grey Haven is okay. Yeah, it's all right. And then Water Stallion. It says summons a great water spirit who will strike and damage many foes. That's cool too. You know, basically a multi-target. What is this? Loudwater Fury. But I think there are other spells that are actually a little bit better. But that's not to say that Water Stallion isn't good, and especially good on anything, I guess, that would be like vulnerable to water. I don't know specific enemies that are, but I could see that, you know, being decent. Anyways, let's talk about her passives. As with everybody, I highly recommend micromanaging your passives. It just makes your characters very, very strong and earlier, right? So obviously she's going to learn Elven Evade and Full Gift of Loreen. And you don't have any choice here, right? You have to learn these first. So this one says gives Idrial a chance to automatically dodge an enemy attack. That's great, right? Avoiding more attacks is good. And then next up is increases the amount of health Idrial restores while healing. Also very good. So you'll learn Full Gift of Loreen at level 16, and then you have your first choice. Excuse me. So you can either choose Fury of the Valor or Malorn Armor. Idrial already has very, very good armor. She's probably going to be your tankiest character of the entire game. So I actually don't recommend getting Malorn Armor right away. I definitely recommend getting Fury of the Valor. It says increases the amount of damage Idrial's direct damage spirit power attacks deliver. So you will definitely notice the power spike when you first get this. Loudwater Fury will just start doing a ton more damage. So definitely, again, recommend getting that before Malorn Armor. Next tier is Fortune's Mastery. It says greatly increases Idrial's ability to dodge enemy attacks. Love that, right? Always being able to avoid damage is a good thing. The other one here is Elven Inspiration, which I don't recommend. It says increases Idrial's action point pool. Like, that's great, right? When you learn this eventually, but I don't recommend getting this early on. And namely because you really should be building Spirit on Idrial, and she's already going to have a really good AP pool because of that. And then also, she can restore her AP anyway using Drain Inspiration. So, like, once you get to a certain amount of AP, it just doesn't really do you that much good to worry, more about your AP pool, because you're able to restore it anyway. Next up is Haste of the Valor. Increases the effectiveness of Idrial's ability to haste members of the party. This just makes Elven Haste better, right? Very, very good. Great passive, actually. Next is Endure Shadow. Increases Idrial's resistance to Shadow Spirit effects. And then you've got your final tier here, which is Frenzy. lets Idrial immediately take 2 additional spirit actions in her turn. And then Grace of the Elder. It says gives Idrial the ability to automatically regenerate action points. Now, again, I already went over the combo with Frenzy and Aura of the Valor. And that's why you actually want to get Frenzy as early as you can. And so, in order to get Frenzy as early as you can, you want to do Elven Evade, obviously, and then Full Gift of Loreen because you have to. Then do, and this is my recommendation, start learning Fury of the Valor, get that. Then learn Fortune's Mastery, then Haste of the Valor, then Frenzy after. And then after you've got Frenzy, Malorn Armor is probably okay, or doing Endure Shadow. Probably Endure Shadow is actually even just a little bit better. And then Malorn Armor, and then learn Elven Inspiration to get your pool up, and then learn Grace of the Elder. Now, it says gives Idrial the ability to automatically regenerate action points. That is cool, but who cares? If you're, and especially at this point, you can see here I'm towards the end of the game. No, I'm not. That's not fair. I'm only halfway through the game about. She's already level 53, though. She's already almost able to get this. But you just don't need it because she has other ways of restoring her AP already. Right? So it will be nice and convenient, but it's not needed. And again, I would recommend getting other passives certainly before this one. So that is it. Let's go into battle, and we'll talk a little bit about her other abilities and actually seeing them in action. Let's do a crippling shot. Who's number 2 here? There's number 2. We'll just delay his turn. I think Elagast, does he have like a really crappy, he might have a crappy bow on, so he's not doing very much damage. Anyways, I'm actually not going to do the Frenzy combo with Power of the Valor just because I don't need to. But you can see here, once you use Frenzy, you can use Spirit Powers, Lightcraft, or Shadowcraft. But you can't use her sword abilities, which honestly is completely fine. Idrial, really, you want to be casting with her anyway. So not being able to use like 2 of her lame sword abilities right in a row, not really that big of a loss, right? Lightcraft, for Idrial, she gets a lot of these skills anyway, so I'm not wild about the Lightcraft, or I think that, she can probably avoid using Lightcraft altogether and you'll be just fine, but, she already has Gifted Galadriel, she already has Haste of the Elves. Nobody is really, it's not worth using Sleep really with anybody other than Elagast, since he can keep things to sleeping permanently. But Suffocate Evil, on the other hand, actually is a pretty good ability, right? Let's just see who's number 1. This guy here. So that's going to immobilize him so he can't take a turn now. And then we can do the same thing on, I don't know, who's number 2. This would be a really bad use of her Frenzy, though, to be completely honest. Alright, so number 1, let's do Crippling. And then with Elagast, I'll see what we can put to sleep here. But here you can see Idrial is still not getting her turn for a long time, and that's because of Frenzy. Frenzy is a very, very slow reuse, but is very... Oh, there goes the dude dying to Suffocate Evil. Which again, she's really good with that ability because her spirit power is so high. So the damage over time portion of that's going to always be really, really good. Alright, so she's finally getting her turn, coming back up here in a second. So we'll just delay these guys until she gets her turn again. Alright, so let's use Frenzy again here. So again, the Lightcraft spells are pretty good. Gift of the Galadriel, Gift of Galadriel, and Haste of the Elves, and Drain Spirit are all abilities that she already gets. So that's not that actually, and Power of the Valor as well. So 4 out of these 8 abilities she already has. Aura of Life is interesting, but really this is okay for everybody. It says increases allies' health pool. It just increases your maximum health, which again is okay, but not that great, and really anybody can do this. It's not going to be particularly or more so effective with her. Again, Sleep is not that great. Suffocate Evil, amazing though. And then actually, blinding light is pretty good as well. It's light based, I believe, and so it's going to do quite a bit of damage. Only problem here is it's single target, so I'm not wild about that. But obviously she can use any of her other abilities twice. But the aura of the Valar, using that on herself, and then, let's just say like nuking with Loudwater Fury or nuking with Water Stallion is going to be pretty solid. Otherwise, we could do, let's just see if we can do a aura of the Valor. This would be a pretty cool combo, actually. So Aura of the Valor and then Valorous Haste on Barethor would be a pretty sweet combo. And then he can go into double attack. And then, I don't have enough AP. Shoot. Oh, I messed that up. I guess, we'll do a War Call. But ideally, I'd have enough, AP to do a War Cry. I just forgot to restore his AP. But anyways, so obviously him being able to do that. That's why, and I showed this with Barethor's, or on Barethor, or the guide that I did for Barethor. The combo of Idrial and Barethor it's just so strong, right? He can use double attack, then he can use 2 like War Cries, and then she can do Valorous Haste on him. To give him the immediate next his turn back next, right? So he can basically use 4 War Cries right in a row, which is absolutely insane. And the amount of damage that you can pump out like that is really good. Obviously actually doing something like his ability where he can reduce AP costs would actually have been even better to do first, but I also just didn't have the AP here that I should have had before I started. But again, I think that Idrial is really, really good. She's honestly completely broken. I've never seen an RPG where and maybe if anybody have other examples of this, but where a healer had basically the best armor in the game, and then can make herself essentially immortal. Again, I've never seen that kind of crazy combo, but Idrial does it. So that's pretty much, though. Let's actually let me just finish this guy off, and we'll take a look at her gear really quickly. There just really isn't going to be that much to it. It's going to be kind of similar to what I did there with Barethor, and that's just kind of shoring up any sort of defense issues that she's got with elf stones. Here she is. So I've got her equipped with a cracked Elfstone of Spirit Enhancement, a polished Elfstone of Armor Enhancement. Honestly, she doesn't really need this, but there just really isn't that much that she does need. She's just so solid. I do have her equipped with a cracked Elfstone of Health Enhancement right now, and then a cracked Elfstone of Fire Protection. Let's take a look at her resistances here. So she does have, as of right now, though, and again, keep in mind, I'm about halfway through the game. I'm in Helm's Deep. But in her, her resistances can change throughout the game depending on her equipment. But as of right now, she's got, normal versus slash, stout versus pierce, weak versus blunt. She actually has heroic fire resistance. I don't know that I've ever seen heroic. I guess shadow as well. But somehow weak against water right now. Basically what I could do there is remove that fire Elfstone and give her like a water Elfstone instead, right? Because that would shore up her water defenses instead. But she's just solid. And the nice thing about her stats is that she obviously is naturally oriented towards spirit power. And you can see here I've actually put every single point that she's earned up to this point into her spirit stat. Dexterity is not great, speed's not great, her constitution also not very great, but just doesn't really matter. She kind of gets everything she needs out of that spirit stat. So, and of course, look at that AP pool of 1,293. It takes a lot of casting to be learning or to be running out of AP. So, Anyways, that's going to be it. That is it for Idrial. Again, I think she's one of the most phenomenal characters in this game. And honestly, completely overpowered with Aura of the Valor. So that is it for this one. As always, hope the guide was helpful, and thanks for watching.